Another person I'd like to introduce with the risk management department besides Steve as our safety manager is our claims manager, Juan Ascarete. A lot of people ask, what is risk management? And for those of you who have worked with us, you know, there's a lot of different areas that we cover. I like to think of, you know, the old saying that there are two things you'll never get away from, death and taxes. Well, there's a third thing, and that's insurance sometimes. And what I wanted to do was just, I thought about some of the earlier speakers today. Jeff Benvenu discussed the use agreement with the airlines, kind of told you a little bit about the history, the 30 years back. Well, 30 years or 35 plus have moved forward, and we're now here today. So there's a lot of changes that are in place for us. The things that we used to do in business are not the same things we do today. You know, when I think about all the requirements that are expected of you, the other thing that comes to mind is, whatever happened with the old-fashioned handshake to do business? Unfortunately, because things have changed along the way, that's not an easy way to do business any longer. Kevin discussed the terminal management. He talked about how we try to maintain facilities, create a good customer service experience. You know, from time to time we may have safety concerns on the facilities or the premises or some of the equipment with an escalator and elevator. We want to ensure that we have some of the best facilities for our patrons. David talked a little bit about the terminal development plan and, you know, the construction and the phasing of it, as well as the issue of, you know, really creating a new facility structure, creating a location and infrastructure that has sustainability features. And then Zanola talked about some of the things that we need to do, or that you need to do in conducting business out here. Of course, the one thing that comes to mind with Zanola's was the Dreamweaver and the new Suburbia. I think I want to be one of those. I just haven't figured out how to be a Dreamweaver. My kids think they're young cosmopolitan, but I certainly don't want them to keep going to all that high-tech stuff. But moving forward, when I think about all of your speakers today, I really wanted to talk a little bit about some of the functional responsibilities that risk management has for DFW Airport, as well as for you as vendors and our customers. Talk a little bit about the requirements that we have that will be on some of the contracts, the insert, surety, and some final considerations. And I know this is a little bit difficult venue to be able to see some of the presentations and the videos, and I can assure you I have no video for you today, but I did want to talk a little bit about some of the departmental responsibilities in risk management. We oversee and we implement enterprise risk management, and basically what that is a holistic view of creating the processes and procedures in terms of supporting our business ventures, our initiatives, by looking at taking forth an assessment, being responsive, and being able to measure some of the risk as well as to mitigate them. We also, to the left of that, manage an integrated disability program, which is really more focused for employees. This includes workers' compensation, managing illnesses and injuries from short-term disability, long-term disability, as well as FMLA. We also have created a return-to-work program for our employees and involve the reasonable accommodation venues. On the bottom half is claims management. For DFW, we're responsible for overseeing the all-risk property, general liability, crime and fiduciary, public official liability, excess workers' comp, underground storage tanks, bonds, claims investigations, litigation management, as well as any runoff claims. And on the bottom right-hand corner is the terminal development program. For you and for many others, we will be responsible in creating what is referred to as a wrap-up insurance program. This will involve creating the information for the types of insurance coverages, the limits, perhaps even some medical and drug testing requirements for some of the contractors who work on site here. Be required to manage the payroll and certificate tracking, as well as the badging and the SureGuard or contractor surety program. And just quickly and briefly, some of the other areas that risk management is responsible for is the safety and loss prevention, which involves inspection, ergonomic, training, fleet safety, and drug and DOT testing. We have regulatory and compliance programs that involve the HIPAA, pandemic, bloodborne pathogen, DOT testing, and ADA compliance. And which is what we're probably going to hit on today with you is a little bit about the contract and certificate management. And the two last areas are our health and wellness program for DFW Airport, which is called Live Well, and some of the other special projects that we conduct airport-wide. For those of you who do business with a DFW Airport, and in any other business or airport, there are a set of requirements that are going to be with you wherever you go. And for many of you, you already have a lot of these coverages, but I want to be brief so that you know what the expectations are up front. And these will be some of the same requirements that are going to be in the RFP process. We will require workers' compensation based on statutory limits. What statutory means is what the state of Texas requires. In the state of Texas, there is no minimum. It is statutory. It can be on and on and on. We require an employer's liability, which is somewhat of an attachment to the workers' compensation coverage. Commercial general liability of $1 million, which includes areas of liquor legal liability. We'll have a per location and per project aggregate. We will also require an excess and umbrella liability policy and all risk property coverage. I don't want to go into specific detail with all of you because if you're like me, you don't want to really know about your insurance until you have to use it. So I will just, mention those particular coverage areas, and if there's any questions either later or even as you move forward in the process, I urge you to contact us directly. And another area, and before I hand this off to Steve, is our certificate tracking system. We will require all vendors, as we currently do right now, to go online, and once you've been selected to do business with DFW Airport, to add in or really kind of go in online to be able to include those coverages so that, number one, that we can create a better tracking of what you have. This provides some board risk transfer, and it also protects you in case anyone comes back and says, well, we want to file something against this organization. We want to make sure that, number one, your limits are up to date, that it requires the areas that we hit on, and that you're fully protected as well as DFW being protected. And with that, I would like to hand this over to Steve. Steve is our safety manager, and we'll discuss these areas and as well as the surety. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Norma. The reason that I come to these meetings is reaffirmed every time I do so. I learn things about my own office by coming to this meeting. So by seeing that extensive list that she started with in terms of the responsibilities that we have in the risk management department, I have to take a big, deep breath and then plunge ahead. For those of you that are thinking about being concessionaires and doing business with the airport, we appreciate that very much. The place where Norma kind of left off was talking about an insurance certificate tracking program. Many of you have had the experience of being asked to prove that you have insurance when you do business somewhere, and traditionally your agent or your broker generates a certificate of insurance. It lists all your coverages and a few special things at the bottom, and somebody signs it and you hand it in. You may have noticed, if you look at your watch, it's 2010, and we have more than one or two concessionaires at the airport. Because we're moving ahead at several hundred miles an hour in a technologically advanced age, we have shifted gears ourselves and gone to an automated system. This goes by the name of insert.com. And insert.com is a company based in Denver, Colorado, that enables your insurance agent or your insurance broker to talk to this company electronically online, and we pretty much skipped the part about having paper certificates. And I'm pausing for emphasis. What that means is, on a go-forward basis for most of the people in the room, paper certificates are not going to be the order of the day. The folks that run the concessions department are like our procurement department. They have elected to begin automating this, streamlining it, putting it on an electronic form so that they can track it and generate lots of reports and keep up with it and not have to devote 2 to 5 people to do that. So just so you'll know, all those things that Norma read about the insurance requirements, what's going to happen is it will work like this. When you sign a contract or prepare to sign a contract with the airport, now this, you won't find this anywhere in the presentation. What you need to do is you need to photocopy the pages of that document that deal with insurance and hand them over to your insurance agent or your insurance broker and look that person in the eye and say, here are the requirements that I have to meet to do business with the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport